Namaskar. Hello friends. Let us see what exactly is liberation, enlightenment or self-realization, which are supposed to be the highest goals of spiritual pursuit. One should understand and internalize the fact that we are driven by our inherent makeup, which we can say our genetic makeup. So the doer is really not the bodily identity I, but a program residing in the genes and put there by the supreme creator, sustainer, destroyer. Once one is able to do this, his limited bodily identity and the associated concepts of pain, pleasure, likes, dislikes will disappear. That is what liberation is, merging with the singular or Brahman. Grace of God is necessary for liberation. A seeker needs the grace of God to get the spiritual insight that leads to the higher understanding of the Creator and the creation. This is an extension of the concept that all the creation and everything that we seem to perceive is all arising from just the one divine principle or universal consciousness. So, even spiritual enlightenment that a seeker receives must be a transformation of that one consciousness. A sincere seeker of such enlightenment must surrender himself to that divine principle. It essentially means that the seeker's mental attitude must be one of total open receptivity so that he can receive that enlightenment. It is the divine inside that needs to awaken and realize itself. But yes, who will pursue that path? Why and when may, in the best case, be dependent on the divine plan for this creation. In the worst case, it may just be something quite random, albeit like a draw of lots. So, a seeker who gets inspired to pursue this path should pursue it in his own natural way, and more importantly, he must not want or even wish that some loved ones of his also should pursue the same path. Just leave them to the divine plan. However, a seeker has to himself make the efforts to get liberated. The seeker has to go beyond his body and take help from his inner spirit, that is his soul. One who is bogged down only by his body cannot get liberated, and such a person becomes his own enemy in his spiritual pursuit. In a broader sense, it can be understood to be emphasizing detachment from worldly interests. So long as one is attached to worldly interests, liberation is not possible. A seeker needs to make efforts to gradually reduce his worldly interests, which can eventually result in liberation. Importance of surrender to God. It is extremely difficult to overcome the influence of Maya, that is illusion, that keeps us enchanted by the fascinating world of duality. The three gunas that drive us are a manifestation of Maya, and we simply cannot discard our basic nature that is determined by the particular combination of gunas we are born with. One would then legitimately ask that if that is the case and we are driven by our nature, then what is the point in anyone trying to discard his nature and pursuing liberation, going against his nature? Can he succeed in that? Shri Krishna assures in the Gita that only a sincere surrender to him can get a seeker liberated from the influence of Maya. Surrender to God is one of the fundamental principles of spiritual pursuit. Looked at in a different way, surrender to God is discarding ego, discarding worldly identity, and all the associated likes and dislikes. In other words, surrender in this context is another form of non-duality. It is accepting that I am not different from the singular Paramatman. I have no his desires relating to my limited bodily existence. I have surrendered all my likes, dislikes, desires, and I am living in God consciousness. There is only God and no I versus the rest, separate from God. If such an attitude of surrender can be cultivated and internalized permanently, that is liberation. Liberation is while still living. The Gita describes the right and wrong time to die from the point of view of liberation from the repeated cycles of birth and death. However, Sant Jnaneshwar, in his commentary on these verses, in his Jnaneshwari, says that a seeker who has got liberated while he is still alive does not have to bother about the timing of his death. He is already one with God and has nowhere to go after death. Overcome negative tendencies of mind. There is a critical need for discarding the three fundamental enemies of spiritual pursuit of liberation. Kama, that is desire or lust, Krodha, that is anger, and Lobha, that is greed. So long as these faults exist in a person's nature and behavior, he cannot be happy, nor can he achieve his welfare. Keeping company of holy people with a pure sattvic attitude, that is called satsang, and reading spiritual literature, which is called reading of Sadgranthas, helps the seeker overcome these three enemies. He also needs to minimize or even get rid of all interactions with people and live in seclusion. What is the role of Guru in liberation? Vishwarup Darshan, that is view of the universal form of singular God, given to Arjun by the Lord to convince Arjun that everything that we perceive in this creation is a part of the singular divine principle. But that darshan could not be experienced with the ordinary eyesight. It needed a special insight, kind of a direct perception without the use of external eyes. So the Lord granted Arjun that kind of inner vision to be able to perceive the darshan. Since the Lord was Arjun's Guru, this can also be understood to mean that we need a Guru to change our perception from the ordinary to the extraordinary so that we can be enlightened. Arjun had been completely overwhelmed by moha, that is, attachment and wrong notions of me and mine, at the beginning, and had refused to heed Shri Krishna's initial arguments. But later, as Shri Krishna unfolded the profound spiritual philosophy, even that otherwise extremely debilitating moha of Arjun completely vanished, and he became ready to act in accordance with Shri Krishna's preaching. This also drives home the potent influence of a true Guru on his disciple. We can understand this as a change in the relationship between Arjun and Shri Krishna as the Gita progresses. Initially, Arjun was still seeing Shri Krishna as a friend and a relative. Then, gradually, he realized that Shri Krishna was divine incarnated and accepted him as his Guru. Shri Krishna also then put in his all into his preaching and revealed all that is worth knowing in spirituality. No wonder Arjuna's moha disappeared totally. Shri Krishna was the divine incarnate, and after he preached the supreme spiritual philosophy to his beloved disciple Arjun, Arjun also became divine. With both Shri Krishna and Arjun on Pandava's side, it was a double benefit to Pandavas, and hence they were sure to emerge victorious. In the context of us ordinary seekers in the modern world, it can be understood to mean that if we are under the grace of a true Guru, we can also emerge victorious in the struggle of worldly life. Not in a worldly sense, but in a spiritual sense. We will be spiritually unhurt in the battle of life and successfully come out of it blissfully. I will stop here today and will continue the next time. Until then, take care. Bye.